Hi guys, welcome back to Ox Tools. I'm Tom. So I hope you all had a nice holiday break. I know I did. I took a couple of extra vacation days in addition to our normal holiday shutdown, and had a nice couple of weeks off, and did a lot of stuff around the shop. Had some visitors here. Chuck, outside Screwball, you guys may know. He came up and we had a great visit, and we were joking around and had some good laughs, and ate a big fat steak sandwich down the street, so it was pretty good. Had a nice phone conversation with my buddy Cliff Fender. He's a Versatile Machine Repair, and they're in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So anyway, they do machinery repair and rebuilding, things like that. And he saw the video on the Marvel Saw bearing shield, so he had to call me up and yell at me and make sure I knew that there was a spacer between the two bearings. So I said, "Yep, got it, Cliff, I'm good." Anyway, we had a nice conversation on the phone, and he may send me some video. He was working on a big Minster press that they had to cut up with a torch inside a little room, and then drag all the big pieces out. So Cliff, if you're watching this, we want that video. We want to see that video, you working on that press. So anyway, what we got here is a big fat meatloaf, and I've been saving up. I got a bunch of stuff to show you. Got some flea market finds, we got some new tools, we got some viewer mail from some actually some interesting sources, and you know, the usual mix of cool, interesting stuff, and a couple of book reviews too. So let's take a peek at some of this stuff. It's pretty cool. All right, so what better way to start off the new year than with some new tools, or new to me anyway. These are some flea market finds. So let's chips all over everything. I guess somebody's been working in here or something. Let's start with this, and then we'll just kind of pull this stuff out. First is we got this big file here, but I'll bring you in closer to show you some of this stuff. Let's drag it out first. You guys can get a look at it here. This little guy here, that's pretty good. And the little toolbox. So let's pull in a little closer and get a look at some of this neat stuff. We got some pie tapes, we got a weird boring head, depth micrometer, cool old scale, some other stuff. Let's check it out. All right. So this was the Alameda Flea Market Antiques Fair out in Alameda, California. They have it at the the old Naval Air Station out there, and it's thing's massive. And this particular guy that I got actually most of this stuff from, he's been there before, and I bought some end mills from him, I don't know, a year ago or something like that. Carbide end mills, $5 a piece. So I snapped up a pile of those. And anyway, he had some more stuff. So let's take a look at it here. Now these are pie tapes here, and if you're not familiar with these are pretty cool. So they go around the circumference of something round, and then you can measure the diameter. So the increments that are on them, they read directly in diameter. Now these are actually, they work really well because they have good leverage. It's a 3-to-1 ratio, circumference to diameter, you know, pi, right? And so these are actually accurate to, you know, about 1/1000th of an inch, right? And honestly, when you're talking about, let's see, I think one of these is, yeah, this one's 36 to 48 inches, okay? If you got a 48-inch micrometer, it's a bit of a challenge actually to read it to a thou, okay? The frames are they're heavy, you know, and they're not perfectly rigid, right? So it's pretty easy to have an error in reading of a thou, okay? So anyway, these were $5 a piece. So now I already have these sizes, but at $5 a piece, I am certainly not going to leave these laying there, because these will become trade items for the future, right? So I'll trade up for something that I want. Also, Bruce Whittam was shopping for some of these too. So I may do some horse trading with Uncle Bruce down there in down under in Australia. So I got this little toolbox. This kind of uneventful little. I needed a little toolbox to put some little saws that I have in. So we'll just put all this junk back in there. So we got a. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's just keep going here. Screw it. This is a Montague and Harris forming press brake forming dies. Okay, so it has all kinds of press brake die configurations and different flavors of press tooling. It also has some interesting information on bend allowances and things like that. And it shows the design of back gauges and so here's bend allowances and stuff like that, for multiple bends. Where's the thing? Oh, so, metal forming is something that comes up for all of us, right? But this gives you ideas on how you can actually make press tooling and whatnot to form different sheet metal shapes. So pretty cool that way. All right, so let me change the camera around a little bit, and then we'll look a little closer at these at the next items. All right, so let's get that out of the way for a second. Let's do the little book here. This is it's just a little handout from Harlan, and these guys make they're still around. They make drill bushings and jig latches and knobs and handles and things like that. So they have a pretty good website now, so Harlan Manufacturing. But this is a kind of a handy book for, it's got conversion stuff in it. All the stuff you can look up online. What caught my attention, actually, probably the reason I got this book, was this cool little image on the back. Okay, are you lost in space? And it has this, this is very, I would say, kind of 60s Telstar, Sputnik, kind of a flavor of graphics here. And I just thought that was pretty cool, and that might be stealable for a t-shirt or something like that, which is kind of neat, right? So anyway, a little Harlan book. This is a boring head, okay? And it was laying there, and I saw that, okay? And SIP. Now this is a Swiss company that makes jig bores and all kinds of neat stuff, and measuring instruments and metrology stuff. And what this is a little boring head, okay? All right, and you can see it shifting off there, okay? Now it doesn't have a very big range, but each one of those increments is 2/10 on the diameter. Is that right? 2/10? Oh, I'm sorry, 2/1000. 2/1000 on diameter. Okay. I'm sorry, but it's got a vernier here too. So, that's where I read the 2/10 right there. There it is. One division is 2/10 on the diameter. Yeah, that's confusing. And then, okay, I see one division up here. So that's a 1/10, right? Okay, that makes sense. So one division down here is 2/1000 on the diameter, and one division on the vernier, which is 1/10 of that, is 2/10 on the diameter, which makes sense. Okay. Now, what's weird? Somebody's modified this. They turned it down so that it probably fit an English tool holder, 7/8. Yeah. It takes an 8mm boring bar, which is kind of odd, but it's, you can grind the shank on something that'll fit in there and whatnot, and it has a limited range, but it's very smooth and very nice. So anyway, that was $20 for that. I thought that was worth it, so that was a good price for that thing. Okay, all right. So let's see, that wasn't part of it. This. Actually, you know what? I want to do a separate discussion on this because, I just have some thoughts that I want to share with you guys on that. Got this nice stiletto file. Okay, it's a big, it's a bastard, I believe. Oh no, mill smooth. It's a mill file, smooth. doesn't look like a smooth, but it's a smooth, and it's a stiletto, and I've always liked that logo, the stiletto logo, so it's in pretty good shape. And, big files like that are, I don't know, that's probably 30 or 40 bucks, if they, I don't even know if they make them that big anymore, that's a good question. I have to look it up and see if Nicholson makes a file. What is that? That's, so that's a 16-inch mill smooth file, so I don't even know if they make those anymore, all right? Okay, let's talk about these separately here. All right, so these next two items are actually very cool, and they're kind of special for me. And one of the things that makes them special is, yeah, they're kind of neat tools, first off, right? But what makes them cool for me is that the owner's name is in the tool. Okay, now this one's very hard to read, but this one you can definitely read it here. And this is George Scoville. Okay, and the name caught my attention because that's actually a kind of a semi-famous name. Now, looking at the vintage of this, and I kind of searched this guy's name, and there was a Scoville, and there's no E on the end. Okay, there was a wire or sheet metal or brass works, right? They made sheet brass and whatnot back east in Massachusetts. And just look, it has nice handwriting. So it's fairly old, and this micrometer is fairly old. So this is a Lufkin 515 with a wide base, okay? And it's old because the newer ones have graduations along this thing here. And I just like this shape and all that. And then it's got these cool little finger rests here, which is kind of cool. But like I said, the thing that makes it special for me is this wonderful connection to the person that owned this tool, right? George. And then this one is a guy named Bill Lansing. You can just barely see it. I had to look under the microscope to kind of root it out. And this was pretty rusty when I got it. And I cleaned it up so I could read the name because I was very curious about reading the name, right? But I know, this is my rule or scale here, machinists call them scales sometimes or rulers or whatever. And, obviously Bill had good taste. He likes the end graduations like I do. So, but if you look at this ruler closely, right, this was this guy's everyday carry here, right? Look at the corners are rounded, and you can see a little bit of this in mine. I've had this one for quite a while, although this wasn't my first one like this. I broke one like this quite a while ago. But, if you use it a lot and abuse it and you carry it with you all the time, the corners start to wear off and, it just gets this kind of patina, right? And, it's a tool that has this very, very close connection with the owner, right? And now this guy, he may be dead, most likely, and this, ended up in a lot of tools that got sold at a garage sale or donated or whatever, right? But it's kind of this very neat connection with the owner that's unique with tools, right? And you can see that these people use these things, right? And I just think that's extremely special, and in fact. I'm thinking about making a display board with with some tools that have the owner's name, and if I can find out anything about them, that'll kind of go with it. But I know that this is for me, this is this multi-purpose tool, and that I use constantly for dozens or hundreds of uses, and it's just special, and I feel lost without it, right? And so this is my way of maintaining a connection with the past, right? Bill Lansing and George Scoville, right? Is that I'm gonna use their tools and keep going with them, and then hopefully somebody will get them from me and continue on, right? And appreciate them and recognize the owner, the original owner of these articles, right? So it's just kind of special that way. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of talk about that, and because it is something I think about, my connection with the past with these guys. So, okay. Anyway, pretty cool. Okay, so this next one, this was sent in by a local viewer, and his name is Jeff Harlan. And I guess this came from his dad, but it was actually his grandfather, okay? Oh, wait, no, it was Jeff's dad's grandfather. So this would be Jeff's great-grandfather, is that right? Great-great-grandfather? Yeah, great-great-grandfather, okay? Anyway, he's kind of an interesting cat, and his name, let's see, what was his name? His name was Paul Sampson, okay, and his name's marked in here. It says Sampson, kind of upside down. Maybe this handle got replaced at some point, right? So that's kind of an odd hammer. I don't know if it broke and they reattached the face. It's kind of this weird proportion. It's kind of long, so maybe it did break, and or maybe he made this hammer and handmade the hammer, and then something happened to it and then had to re-weld it or whatever. But anyway, he owned the Paul Sampson owned a sheet metal shop in Berkeley, apparently. So, and lost the business in some gambling scandal or something like that. Anyway, kind of an interesting family story. So he calls it a family scandal. Anyway, he sent me a picture of the gentleman. There he is. Okay, and that's Paul Sampson. And this would be from, he died in 1964, so this is let's see, I don't know, 1935 or something like that in there. Okay, I don't know. Looking at the clothing and a little bit. Anyway, so Jeff, thanks for sending this kind of historical hammer in. It's kind of unique, and once again, as we were saying, it's marked, and we have a little provenance here. There's a connection with this gentleman here that had this hammer, right? I don't know if he touched this handle, but I bet you they could find some of his DNA on this head here, right? So now we get to play around with it ourselves, and we have a connection with Paul Sampson. So Jeff, thank you very much for sending that in. I appreciate it, and we'll put that in the hammer collection. Thank you. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was, this looks innocent enough, right? It's a piece of paper, and it's some metal plates that are taped together, right? What this is about, this is what I call style points, right? When you deal with other folks, right? There's, I don't know, I would call them courtesies almost, right? That kind of go along with those interactions, right? And so there's some room for personal style and flair and professionalism and empathy, right? So I bought. We'll talk about this one first. And this, I bought something off eBay that showed up over the Christmas break, right? And it was well packed, and then the item was as described, which we all always hope for, and but this little note was in there, okay? And actually, thanks for your purchase, and here are the guys reaching out, and if there's anything wrong, call me right away, right? And here's my number, right? Just so what I say is this guy gets points, style points, right? That's a very nice touch, okay? And, it's this dumb, simple little thing, right, that he didn't really have to do, but he did it anyway, right? Okay, so he gets an A for style, right? Now, a couple of things have happened at work recently that made me kind of, think about this whole style points kind of a thing, right? And this, I made up this little example, right? Now, I don't know if any of you have ever, seen this happen before, or you do it yourself, and if you do it yourself, great, you get style points, right? But it's just a simple, stupid little thing, right? You see this? What I've done is, when I ended, I looped the tape around, and then the last little bit, I folded it over so that it doesn't stick, right? Okay, well, what that's about is when this goes over to the next guy, right, all he's got to do is just grab that and go, right? Okay, so he just pulls that off, okay? And then the other one is right there, and off he goes, right? So that's what I mean by style points. You don't have to do it, okay? But it's empathy for the next guy, or the next person, I should say, not guy necessarily, in line that might have to handle this, right? It's a very nice touch, and it's appreciated, right? And this is the kind of stuff that I notice, right? Another thing happened, we got this wooden crate that had an instrument in it, right? And it was all made out of plywood, and it was put together with, with screws, right? Well, whoever put the crate together or built the crate actually, went around and, if this is the crate, right, and it's all screwed together, and say that was a screw, right? Well, they circled it with a Sharpie, right, in a nice big circle so that you could see all the screws, because the plywood was kind of dark and the screws were dark, so you're hunting along here looking for those screws. Well, they just said, okay, fine, we'll just circle all those screws so that you can see them, right? Okay, so that's what I mean about style points, right? You're thinking about the next person in line, and and this is just kind of shop courtesy and just professionalism in your dealings with other people, right? You clean the machine a little bit better than you found it, right? In a communal shop, right? You circle the screws, It might be you that's actually pulling this tape off a year from now, right? And you really appreciate the fact that you can just get a hold of that and go, right? And yeah, it took them a little extra time, but it's just a nice touch. So that's what I mean about style points. So, look for these things, right? And appreciate them and note them and emulate things that you like, those kinds of behaviors that you like. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that is, I got this little note and it really just kind of cemented the whole thing. I said, you know what, that's just nice, right? And, fine, the guy makes 1,000 of these and cuts them up and throws them in every box that he ships out, right? It is simple. But I noticed it and I appreciate it, and I just wanted to talk about that and share that with you guys. All right, who doesn't like books, right? These are some books that I got over the Christmas holiday, and actually, this one came from a used bookstore. And these actually aren't mine. I borrowed these from a friend of mine that has an industrial woodworking company near here, and his name's Ed Russell. And they have a big woodworking plant down there that he may let us shoot some video in there one of these times. We'll get a tour of that place. He's the guy that cuts the wood for me for the crate in the box. Anyway, he ended up with a bunch of these international correspondence books, and he showed them to me, and I said, oh, hey, can I borrow a couple of those? And he said, yeah, sure. So anyway, I borrowed a couple of titles that look interesting to a guy like me. Lathe work, measuring instruments, bench work, milling machines, and shaper, slaughters, and boring mill work. I mean, yeah, those are some good titles there. We'll look at these separately here, and we'll just flip through them real quick. This one's pretty interesting, and it really kind of illustrates the differences in the differences in how we treat children and young people these days, right? So this is a book with 700 or 800 things that young people can build, right? And now this is from a time when every self-respecting dad or family had a little workshop in the basement or the garage or the barn or whatever, and they didn't have quite as many distractions as young people do these days, right? Okay, but some of these things kind of illustrate our attitudes towards young people and the things that we'll let our kids do and let them play with, right? So anyway, there's some kind of curious ones in here, and I got them marked here. So The first one is you know, oops, let's back up here because I think that the first one's even better, right? Yeah, okay. So they're basically they're toy cannons, right? Well, here's how to make a toy cannon, a noisemaker, right? And you know, it's made out of heavy wall pipe with fittings and this and that, and it tells how to build the whole thing. This couldn't even get published today, okay? A publisher would just say, no, that needs to come out. Or the legal department or whatever would say, no, you can't put that in this kiddie project book, okay? So this kind of illustrates one of the differences there, right? Is, you know, kids built these things, and yeah, probably a couple of them got hurt screwing around with that, you know, but a bunch of them had fun too, so, and learned something from it. And, you know, as part of their marination process as, you know, to become adult humans, okay? So, and this is along the same lines, because here's another one. And once again, this would never get into a modern book, right? Is how to electrically discharge a toy cannon. Gee. Now, we can all, you know, project forward and say, yeah, there's probably good reasons to not let kids play with stuff like that. But you know what? Honestly, what's the difference? They can look all this junk up on the internet, okay? And so they have access to this information anyway, okay? So you can't, what science can invent, science can circumvent, right? Okay, so you can't hide basic scientific stuff from people. They will figure it out, okay? It's just the laws of nature, hello. They'll figure this stuff out. So you might as well show them how to do it safely and properly as opposed to not showing them at all, okay? Or restricting that information, okay? Hey, here's another great one. It shows you how to balance on a chair, right? Okay, you know, when I was a kid, I probably did crap like that. So anyway, sure, I bet you a bunch of kids fell down. There's hundreds of YouTube videos of people falling down all over the place, right? But guess what? They're having fun doing it most of the time. So anyway, I don't know, you know, I got this weird thing going on right now. I'm thinking about this kind of stuff, so it's, I apologize. All right. Oh, this was, I thought this was cool because I've always had a hard time with this. This is a way to remember which months have 30 days in them, okay? And by counting on your knuckles, and where's my little pointer? Here we go. So you go January, and then you drop into the groove February, then you're up on a knuckle March, and then you're in a groove April, etc., right? And then by repeating that for the rest of the 12 months. So when you're in a valley, that's a month that has less than 31 days, okay? And February is 28, okay, because that's an oddball, okay? March is 31, April's 30, May 31, June 30, right? So anyway, I've always, you know, there's all these little rhymes and crap that you, to remember this, and I just thought that was kind of cool that you could just kind of do that on your hand, and I'll probably remember that now. So that's kind of all it took. Let's see what else we got in here. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this. There's a lot of neat stuff in here. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to show you that because that's something I'm thinking about. So anyway, the boy mechanic, or the young person mechanic, whatever you want to call it. It's got a cool cover on it, and this is 1917, something like that. What was it? 1913. Okay, and you know, I looked in the cover, right? Some of you guys may have seen that. Oops, back up here. $5. And I looked at it 3 times because it seems like this is a $50 book to me, right? And now it's a little bit beat up, and some knucklehead took a knife and cut out an image on the inside of a top. You know, actually it's probably a modern person that did that. They were too cheap to buy the frickin' book, so they took a knife and they cut out an image out of it. Thanks a lot, jerk off. So anyway, pretty cool book. Okay, so I know you guys really want to see the inside of these. This is International Correspondence textbooks, and this was a series of books, literally hundreds of them. This is 186, and I've seen up to 700 and something, on a vast array of subjects. They all have this weird internal cover in here. But let's just kind of flip through, and you guys can, I don't have anything flagged in here, but we'll just kind of go through it. This is all about bench work, filing and layout. Okay, so there's some layout, and finding putting a center block in there. It's got some scraping stuff in here somewhere. Okay, there's a cool layout table, right? This is the title of this one. Oh, there you go, Adam. Die stocks. Hey, look at that. Looks familiar, huh? Okay. Anyway, so there's a proper holding of files. There's a filing handle support thing. This is all kinds of neat stuff in here. Anyway, that's the bench work. This is milling machines and equipment. Let's take a peek in here and see what we can find. Oh, and then they have these wonderful drawings. Look at this. This is just great. Is that awesome or what? So this is, pre-SolidWorks, guys. Okay, so yes, they could do this kind of stuff, assembly drawings and beautiful sections like this. This is truly a craft, right? A learned craft that took skill. Okay, and like lots of good things, it took work to get good at it, right? I mean, these are all done by hand. These are illustrations. Look at that. I mean, they drawn the gears, all the teeth, all that stuff. It's just wonderful. And you can appreciate the skills involved in doing that. They got some cool cross sections and. Okay, sure, a lot of it's old and whatnot, but it's still fun to look at, Some, yeah, look, see how they shade the rounded edges and stuff. Kind of neat, huh? Oh, look at that one. I didn't see that one before. Some big slab mills there. Those look like connecting rods for locomotives or something like that. Okay, so that's milling machines. Shaper, slaughters, and boring mills. Let's take a peek ski in there. Shaper. I think there's a pretty neat picture in here of this old cat standing next to a big boring mill. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Just a beautiful picture, right? All right. Let's see if I can find that without spending too much time here. Let's see. Okay, so we're in the horizontal boring mill section now, and there is a picture. Let's see if I should have marked it. I apologize, guys, but I know you're just dying to see every page of this. Oh, I got spherical work. Where's my little buddy there? Where is my bud? Look at that. Oh, there he is. Check him out. Check out dude. And that's a crazy looking boring mill there. Look, it's got multiple spindles, right? 1, 2, 3 spindles. 4 spindles? 1, 2, 3, 3 for doing something. Big counterweights there. Flat belts. This thing must have made a wonderful noise of the belt slapping as it's running. So pretty cool stuff. Okay. Yeah, all right, let's just keep going here. Screw it. Lathe work. I don't care. This is neat stuff here. Yeah, there's some big honking lathe, some valve body or something, who knows what. Bearing cutaway. So there's machining a pipe fitting on an angle plate, and it's got a little counterweight off to the side. Pretty neat stuff, right? Once again, a counterweight to balance the thing, okay? So that it cuts smoothly. So they got some spiders, And they show the distortion. I mean, okay, so this stuff's been known for hundreds of years, or, hundreds of years, guys. So there's certainly something to be learned from history, right? I mean, look at all this stuff. This is great. See, I'm getting into it again, looking at these again. I want to flip through them again. So just cool stuff. All right, we got one more here. Measuring instruments. What the heck? Oh, okay, that's a torch or something. Soldering, a hatchet iron. Soldering. I don't know what that is. Oh. So there's some instruments. Oh, look at that. Optical flats. So in, what year was this? 1918, what? 1939? Yeah, that's what it said, 39. Optical flats has a monochromatic light source there, okay? They understood fringe patterns and wavelengths and all that stuff. There's some smart cats back then, okay? Figured all this stuff out for us. Gauge blocks, right? Inside micrometers, depth micrometers, thread micrometers. Anyway, pretty cool. What's that? Oh, that's a Charpy impact tester there. Scleroscope. What is that? I don't know, I can't tell upside down. Oh, it's some kind of balance thing. Herbert pendulum. Ooh, well, we need to research the Herbert pendulum. That sounds pretty cool. All right, guys. Anyway, so some pretty cool books from the International Textbook Company. So, all right, this next one's kind of weird. I was at the lumber yard the other day, and they had these there in a bunch of different configurations. And this caught my attention because I've seen this type of thing used to actually lift pretty heavy things, right? By using air pressure. You have a large surface area, and it's a lot of square inches, and it doesn't take a lot of air pressure in this balloon, basically, to do some work. And these are used to, I guess they're used to spread door jams, or I don't know what exactly you use them for in the construction industry. Anywhere where there's a skinny little space that you need to put a little bit of force on something and you don't want to damage it. So this is made out of Hypalon or something like that, like what they make Zodiacs and Avon dinghies out of, that kind of thing, right? It's a waterproof, airtight, sealed thing, right? Well, just as a quick little demo of it, I got my surface plate here, and this is a 24 by 36, right? We're just gonna stuff that little monkey in there, like so, and I'll pump it up. Yeah, it's kind of going, you know what? Let's turn it in that way. Let's go that way, then I can get at it, right? There it goes. So, this is just hand pressure here, and it's lifting that, one side of the surface plate, okay? And then it's got a little, now here's the hard part, I think. Trying to do it, okay, I'm getting it. Trying to do it gently and not drop that. And then it comes out. Pretty cool. I've also seen these for opening locks. So they stick them in a door jamb, between the door and the jamb, and then they pump them up, and it spreads it open enough to get the door open. So it's made in Denmark, windbag. They come in all kinds of different sizes. This was like $20 or something like that. Anyway, it caught my eye. It was kind of a fun thing to play with, and I thought you guys might like it. So. All right, so this next couple here, we got some t-shirts that some folks sent me. And this one here comes from a friend of mine in Michigan. Actually, he's Canadian, and he works just over the border in Canada, near Detroit. And he sent me a shirt here from the Detroit Metalworking Club, and it's got a big fat logo on the back. And he sent me a T-shirt. Now these guys, so it's kind of a hobby metalworking club in Michigan, and actually Pete Ferguson, he took the baby bullet and showed it to the club, and then mailed it on to John Saunders for his open house, and took it over to see Uncle Don over there at Suburban Tool. And anyway, he kind of gave the baby bullet a little tour around Michigan. So Pete, thanks for the shirt. That's great. And you know, we all pretty much live in T-shirts in the shop, right? It's a cheap garment that you know, wears well in the shop. Let's just put it that way. Okay. And then I met another guy from this company here. You guys may be familiar with these guys. This is Jeff Bezos' company, Blue Origin, and they are very quietly launching and recovering rockets. And this comes from Gabe Ayala, and he sent me a couple of T-shirts. And they've had quite a few successes with their. So what they do is they launch this rocket, and it lands on the ground. Okay, it lands on the ground all by itself, and they're not making a big deal out of it, although it is a big deal to launch and recover a rocket, and it doesn't parachute down. Okay, so anyway, he sent me some shirts, and it's got some landmarks on it. They got another flight coming up pretty soon, I think, and these guys and SpaceX. So this is getting pretty exciting, the ability to launch and recover and reuse these vehicles. Okay, so that's the big difference. So that's a nice shirt there, and this one's really cool. This one has their big logo on the back, and there's the big logo on the back. Okay, it's got some Latin on there, and I think it means step by step or in little steps, something like that. I can't quite remember now. Kind of neat. And Blue Origin on the front. So Gabe, thanks a lot. These are great shirts, and I appreciate it, and I'll wear them proudly. So the SpaceX, I know somebody at SpaceX too, and theoretically there's a shirt on the way from SpaceX. So the Blue Origin guys are ahead of you. Okay, so. Anyway, Gabe, thanks a lot. Appreciate the shirts. All right. So while I was on holiday, I stopped by. I had the opportunity to stop by a used machinery place that's not too far from here, and you know, so I had some time during the week when businesses were open and you could get around. Anyway, these came from. Machinery dealer Gary Aaragon, and he's in San Leandro, and he's been there for a while, and he's a real nice guy, and he's you know, you meet all types in the used machinery business, and I would say that, you know, some of them are well, less than scrupulous, let's say that. Okay, but Gary's always been a real straight shooter and been very fair, and just a nice guy. You know, I've never bought a full-on machine from him. I bought little stuff like this from him over the years, and I never bought a machine, but he treats me like a repeat customer all the time. So anyway, I went poking around his showroom and found a couple of interesting items, and so I paid $60 for both of these here. So let's take a peek at them. Let's look at this one first. You know, we've been talking about measuring inside diameters or inside internal features, and this is an Intertest made in Germany, and look at that, it's calibrated by Larry Wilcox. Anyway, this has a it's direct reading. Okay, so it reads between 1.2 and 2 inches. to half a thou, okay? Now, it needs a little bit of work here. This bezel's cracked a little bit, and I'll probably talk to MR Tool Repair and see if they can help me with that. And but it seems to work fine, okay? And it works full range, and you know, for 30 bucks, that's pretty good, I think, right? Now, this foam is bad in here. It's gone off far enough that it's to the point where it's kind of hit that I would call it the decomposing greasy stage, right? So I'll probably scrape all that out of there and put some new foam in there. But anyway, got that. That's kind of cool, and it's just quick for measuring bores and whatnot. Okay, and you can calibrate this in a similar way. You can make a stack of gauge blocks and with ends on them, and double check the you know, your calibration point there. Okay, make sure you're okay, or in a ring gauge or a ring standard. Okay, now this one's pretty cool. This is neat, and what this one I've already kind of fussed around with here. Let's get it out. Okay, and what this is another dynamometer here, a different style, and this is it's a beam or flexure type. Okay, and this is where you apply the load here across these points right here. And let's crap, I don't have anything to. I don't know if I can squeeze this one hard enough to make it. Oh yeah, there it goes. Okay, so those are 20-pound divisions. There's 20, 40. That's all I can do. So this one goes to 2,000 pounds, and pretty simple to make. And you know, so this controls how much load. So you calculate the stress in this area here, and so that you don't exceed the stress of the material that you're working with. Now this is a compression. This is for compression, and anyway, it's in good shape. 30 bucks, and it's got a little angular compensator, so that you can get the what I would call the slope of the calibration reasonably well, because this is kind of moving it's moving at an angle, right? So, or an arc. So you're trying to smooth out that arc with that little button there. Okay. Anyway, pretty simple to make. If you need a little force gauge, you know, it's just an indicator that they've actually calibrated and done that with. So, you know, you could make it with a small hole, and then just kind of slowly open that hole up a little bit to kind of tune the thing and get it nice, you know, nice linear relationship with an indicator. So, okay. Anyway, 30 bucks, and we'll add it to the dyno collection, and we're going to do some collaborations this year, and it involves some dynamometers. So stay tuned for that. That'll be pretty cool. And we have that whole project coming up, and the engineering behind it, and all that. So stay tuned. All right. So this last one here, this is pretty cool. You know, we've been talking about tools and their connections with the owners and things like that. What this is a really nice calendar that was put together by a guy. His name is Phil Kerner, and he is the tool and die guy. Some of you guys may subscribe to his site, where he has quite a few videos on tool making subjects. And the guy's a wealth of knowledge and very experienced tool maker. He talks on the radio and talks about subjects like manufacturing and apprenticeships and things like that. And so, of course, I'm very interested in all this stuff myself, and I've emailed back and forth with him a couple of times. But he has a YouTube channel, but most of his videos are on a subscription site. And I subscribe to his site and have perused his videos, and they're great. And a lot of stuff that you just don't see every day going on there. So there's a link in the description. You can go check it out. And if you like this calendar, you can go help support Phil by buying a calendar. And anyway, they're a bargain, and they're very nice. And you know, he's got a little letter in there. Let's just look at the pictures because that's what we like to look at. So these are some of his surface gauges that he's made for checking squareness on the front. Okay, pretty neat, huh? Small, medium, and large. Okay, this is great, and this is a really nice, you know, remember we were talking about style points, right? Okay, so what he's done is he's made individual gauge blocks for these different angles for a particular length sign bar, right? But what he does, and I've completely stolen this idea from him, is the areas that are not ground and whatnot, he paints in there, and it just gives us this very nice pro touch. You know, so if you're going to carry that on this sign bar, you might paint the insides of these holes with some model paint like that. So anyway, it's just a really nice little touch, and I saw that and I said, oh yeah, I'm going to borrow that. So here's some toolmaker's vices. Some of these look like Herman Schmidt's here, and he's got a box there, and this looks like a homemade one here. And probably that one too, but that looks like a Schmitty, and that's a Schmitty there. So, all right, let's keep going here. We gotta get through all this stuff. Oh, this is a cool little height gauge. These were popular back in the day, and you see them on eBay, and they're pretty cool. Actually, a good little project to make, right? And not too difficult. And it's, you know, the thing's only. It's only goes up to 2 inches, I think, so it's a pretty small, nice project. So, all right, what else? Okay, inter-rapid indicators, and we've seen a million of those, and these are well-worn examples. Okay, some homemade sign bars. These are great. Got a big one here, 10-incher, 5-inch, and then a little 3, it looks like. And this is made in a kind of an interesting way here, that the rolls are actually, it's monolithic, right? So this is actually pretty tricky to do here to get the center distances correct. And with a regular sign bar, right, and when they're set up this way, if you're too short, you take a little bit off here. If you're too long, you take a little bit off there, right? So you can kind of tune them in and dial them in. This is much trickier to do, and that's kind of a jig grinding job or a wire EDM job. So I don't know how he did those, so I'm not sure how he did those. Little angle blocks, another nice little project. Toolmaker's buttons, we've talked about those in the past. And he's right, they probably don't sell too many sets of those anymore. So stare at calipers. And, you know, I prefer, these are Mitutoyos up here, and you can see the difference. You see the difference? These have a straight bevel, and these are more rounded, okay? So now I think these are tougher if you bump them, but for that same reason, these will scribe a little bit better. They'll scribe parallel to an edge a little bit better than these do. And I'm a thumb roll guy. I like the thumb rolls myself. So some guys like it's just got a pad there that you push against. Okay, planer gauges. This looks like a shop-built one here, and see there's the paint on the inside, kind of nice. And that looks like a Lufkin there to me. And still a kind of a handy tool to make odd spaces and things like that. 1, 2, 3 blocks, okay, you know, the classic 1, 2, 3 blocks. And we'll be talking about those more very soon. Depth micrometers. And what people don't appreciate about these is they're actually tricky to read. It's very easy to jack them up when you're using them, so you have to have a good feel to get reliable measurements with depth micrometers. So, okay. So anyway, there's Tool and Die Guy. So if you want to order one of these, there's the goods, right? You can go there and you can probably order one of these, and they're, I don't know, they're $20 or something like that. They're not particularly expensive, but it's a beautiful calendar, and I'm going to hang one up in the shop shortly. All right. Well, that's about it for this batch of Meatloaf. And hope you liked it. And if you like what I'm doing here, if you don't mind, hit the subscribe button. If I earned your subscription. And for those of you that are new to the channel, go dig around in the archives. I looked the other day and I have over 450 videos, okay? And some of them really don't have very many views, and there's some gems in there. So if you're into this kind of work, go dig around in the archives and I'm sure you'll find something you like. So we have lots of projects. The etching press is the main project, and lots of little projects to do this year. So 2017 is going to be a big, fat, juicy year. So for shop work. So anyway, thanks for watching, and stay tuned and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. Thanks.